Thank you very much. All right, that's my turn. I have two questions. The first is about something you already asked, that the government should prioritize the needs of OLMCs during the transfer of federal real property. The minister and federal institutions will be required to consult with OLMCs and develop provisions related to the transfer of federal real property. Are the provisions in the bill enough? And could you talk about what would be the most important points to include in our report? Because we will be writing a report. We do understand that you don't really want us to amend the bill or anything like that, but we could certainly write some observations. So I'd like to hear what you have to say on that front. Well, we've already given part of the answer, but just to reiterate, earlier Alain was talking about what he would like to see when the act is implemented and when the regulations are developed. Well, you could integrate his remarks into your report. Things like accountability measures, a holistic approach instead of a piecemeal approach. There should be wide-ranging actions called for in the bill, because what's important all too often is measurement, and that's absent all too often. Looking back, we are having trouble understanding what has worked in the past. We have anecdotal data, but not real data. And that's why it will be important to ensure strong accountability measures.
And
I don't quite know how we could clarify what we hear and what we understand to be a number of principles, but the restorative portion is important. That covers everything, and it covers francophone immigration. It covers all of interventions that we could put in place following this. Well, I was thinking about schools in particular. It's very important that this not only be an exercise of consultation, that the federal government rather prioritize access to official languages, minority communities, to their own language facilities. And you might consult a community, but then to sell, for example, a property to the higher bidder. And I think it's important to prioritize for the federal government, first and foremost, purchases for minority communities. That could be one exercise as part of implementation that might be of great benefit for our communities. Really also mentioned the new daycare programs and health transfers where there was no mention of official languages. That could also be part of the observations that are currently being presented. What is always disturbing with a bill like Bill 13, it isn't necessarily binding on the departments or in disposal. One can simply say, well, I have forgotten. And the fact that a property has been sold, then that loses its meaning. And the fact that there is no such binding nature in the act is an issue. My second question, since we do have some time left and there's nobody else on my list, yes, Senator Muckler, you'll follow my comments then. You spoke about the deterioration of French in Canada over the years, and I think you mentioned, especially since 1971. Could you explain to us what the tangible implications are on French language minority groups if ever the Bill C-13 were to be adopted late? Well, the levels of immigration for Canada might be determined in next November for the next 3 years. And we know that the department is undertaking a consultation exercise, which is beginning now and will no doubt end by the end of the fall. And this includes all of minority immigrants as well. If the bill does not clearly define the directives and that sets these restorative targets, this might have an impact over the course of the next 3 years.